Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Gothalion, and as you may or may not know, I did get some hands-on time at PAX with Borderlands, the pre-sequel, and my character walking out of there that is my absolute favorite, my handpicked, and no surprise to anybody who's watched my videos in the past year, is going to be Athena. You guys know that I like to play melee-focused characters, and Athena is pretty much the closest thing we have to Zero inside of the pre-sequel. So I'm coming to you guys today with a little bit of my thoughts, a little bit of how I'm feeling about Athena as a melee character. How does she compare and contrast to Zero? Are Zero fans going to be pleased with the way that she handles and the way that her abilities mix with others? So let's just go ahead and get right into it. The first comparison I'm going to make is her Blood Rush ability to Zero's Execute. And I'm going to go ahead and say it doesn't have quite as much oomph behind it, but it does have about double the reach, and it is extremely satisfying to play with, and you don't have to wait for her action skill to be up to be able to use it. The reset on it when you kill someone with Blood Rush or apply a bleed to a new enemy, it works really well. I mean, you are pretty much constantly blood rushing around, rushing enemies, doing that lunge through the air. You could double jump into the air. One of my favorite things to do is to get a double jump or an air dash as high as I can fucking go, circle around an enemy, and then blood rush down onto him. It is super satisfying. And at the end of the day, I'm going to have to say I like Blood Rush better than I like Execute just because of how often it is up. How its mechanic inside of it is really similar to Many Must Fall. It doesn't quite get as much damage behind it as Execute, but I played Athena with a crappy melee roid shield. I had no bladed weapon, and my class mod was not melee specific. So I have this feeling that when you get that kind of gear behind her, anything with a blade, she's gonna feel really potent. Really nice with the Blood Rush. Love Blood Rush, guys. You guys will love it too. Zero players, you have nothing to worry about. Melee Zero players specifically. I can't say for you gunslingers out there, you might want to go Nisha. But for you melee Zero players out there, Athena is the shit. She is awesome. She is a goddamn space samurai compared to the robot ninja of our good friend Zero. So the next thing we're going to talk about is survivability. Now, inside of the melee tree, Zero doesn't really have much for survivability. He can, of course, go into deception and hide for a little bit, and he has resurgence, which is pretty nice. But it doesn't really give you that lasting effect. What you usually have to rely on is some sort of lifesteal, some sort of moxie weapon on your melee hits to give you some life back. Now, Athena gets that lifesteal, that self-regen. She gets that from applying multiple bleeds onto enemies, as long as you spec her correctly, and it heals her up very nicely. It feels like she can constantly be in the fray. She doesn't have to get out of combat in the same way that you do with Zero, where you go in, you strike, you get out of combat. That's how you play with Zero for the most part. Or you're up in their face, hitting them with a moxie weapon, and a lot of the time you are gimping yourself because you might be using a weaker melee weapon, or you might not be going directly into deception because you're worried about hurting yourself. You don't really worry about that with Athena. Athena is the samurai to Zero's ninja. That is the comparison I will be making in this entire video, and that's how I will think of her as long as I'm playing her. Athena is going to be my main character. Her playstyle fits me. I always loved Zero, but it always felt like I was getting out of combat, going into combat, getting out of combat, going into combat to do the burst damage with him. With Athena, when you're doing the burst, you are up close and personal. This is a character that's going to meld really well with, say, Jacob's shotguns with a blade on them. Do you remember that spec, Zero players? Remember how well that used to work in TVHM? And because of the way scaling works for both weapons and health, I feel like melee damage is going to remain relevant, and your DOT damage, that's your damage over time from the bleed, is going to remain relevant as well. Also, as a team player, Athena is fucking awesome. Her bleed, her rend, increases gun damage done on enemies. So if you have a rend on something and they're frozen, you're looking at increased gun damage. You're looking at an increased critical damage from them being frozen by the cryo. So having an Athena in your group is absolutely awesome. You're putting that bleed on enemies. You're doing your blood rush around. You're jumping up in the fucking air, hitting guys out of the sky with their jetpacks, looking down at the ground and coming down on someone down there with either a butt stomp followed by a blood rush or a blood rush followed by a fucking shotgun to the face. Guys, it feels good to play Athena. Hands down, my favorite character that I played with. Hands down, an easy transition for anybody coming from Melee Zero. You have nothing to worry about. She is the shit. This is the girl right here. Athena is absolutely amazing. She is my space samurai, and I cannot fucking wait to gear her up and start really playing with this spec, guys. Let me know how you feel in the comment section below. Are you a Melee Zero player? Is this something you're looking forward to inside the pre-sequel? Don't forget to leave a thumbs up if you liked this little preview, my thoughts, my emotions about Athena the Space Samurai. She's fucking, you guys can say she's a gladiator all day. Space Samurai. Space Samurai, guys. And I will fucking see you later.